Hey everyone, CPAT here with another post commentary. This is a match that's happened a long time ago. I think this happened like maybe 2 weeks ago. This is part of the Hallowed Knights tournament run by Polterghost in the Breakfast Club Discord. And yeah, I think this match should happen a while ago. I think characters have already been drafted. This is a match between Zain and D. So this was a week 1 match, meaning that first of all, season 6 characters are legal in this. So this is the first tournament. Do I have to say that every single time I start a video? I feel like maybe after a couple of videos I don't have to say that anymore. But season 6 is legal for the first time in a tournament ever. And alongside that, this was a week 1 match, so season 3 also legal. So if we take a look at the roster here, we have for Zain, we have Viper, Yuzu, and Aurier. And for D, we have, I believe that's a Sagat. Yeah, that's a Sagat. Okay, weird. It's a Papal line. Don't know what that is. Probably some random anime thing that I am unaware of. Alongside the Carmine and the Merkava. So for those of you guys that don't know, D was kind of one of the early pioneers for Carmine, so that should be quite interesting to watch him pilot the Carmine. One of the more famous matches that we saw with the Carmine, I don't think it was recorded anywhere, was the money match between Calavantis and D on Carmine. Calavantis did end up taking that set 3-2, but I think D kind of threw that set and should have won 3-1, if I'm not mistaken. But he kind of hard through the set. Hopefully he doesn't do that today against Zain. But I'm sure his Carmine's probably more practiced. He's probably got some more lines that we haven't seen, so I'm definitely excited to see him check it out. Looks like the players are not ready to start the game yet because they don't have their selection bags up, so I guess we get to talk a little bit more. I didn't really look at the video or trim it. I will say I did. So this match ended up being just shy of a couple hours long. So I did chop it up into 4 videos because I figured that I wasn't really feeling motivated to do a 2 hour long commentary. So I chopped it up instead into 4 separate videos as we see a board change here to the official season 6 board, which is honestly like the gauge area is too big and the deck and discard slots are like they're very close to each other and they're not demarcated. This is not a very good board. Also, for some reason, this is like one of the few boards where the health totals go from right to left as you decrease health. But I feel like the other ones all went from left to right, so it's kind of weird. And of course, the lack of the deck and discard slots means that this board automatically can't be rated really high. It's also really it's quite busy as well. As far as the board is concerned, I mean the gauge area is quite clean. And I like that, but it's a little bit too large. And then of course you just have all these characters that I don't really care about. Are these factions like are Linnae, Hyde, and Aurier like part of like the good guy faction, and then Byakuya, Hilda, and Carmine are like the evil guy faction? Let me know. I don't really know the Under Night lore at all. But I mean, if that's the case, then I guess it's kind of cool. Although I felt like Hyde versus Linnae was like if they were like the 2 famous characters, then I would have expected one of them to be good and the other one to be evil. But I guess they're on the same side of the board here. Not really sure what's happening there. I guess I'm gonna have to put like a timestamp on when this match actually starts because I didn't realize that it would start after like 4 or 5 minutes. I don't know how many minutes. It feels like we're about 4 minutes in. So maybe I'll put a timestamp in. I should cut this part, but I won't. Hopefully, hopefully I remember to do that. Looks like someone D has selected a character. D is jamming Merkava into the character select box in public. Or is he just gonna random a character? Okay, this is okay. He's just gonna random a character. Interesting. Zain, I think, has picked a character already. Not really sure what's going on there. Or maybe D's not randoming a character. Maybe he just like put all of them into the bag, and then is gonna search for the bag and then take the remaining 2 out from his hidden zones. First of all, thanks to Mix for recording this video for me because I was unable to catch this particular match, but we are lucky to see it happen 2 weeks later. I'll try to get better with that. I think I have one post commentary left after this, which was a match recorded today between Erica and Poyman. Hopefully I'll get to that by the end of the week, maybe the weekend. But that was another hour and a half long match. These matches are best of 5, so they take quite long. Looks like D will be pulling out the Carmine against the Yuzuriha from Zain. So I actually think this matchup is not so bad for... This matchup is not as polarizing as other Carmine matches, as we see a cat mine, thanks to @Vertigris art for the art on the cat. I'm not really sure what part is his, though. Is it just his cat? Or I guess their cat? Don't really know if it's a guy or not, so I guess I shouldn't say his, but is that their cat? Like, what's going on there? Is that even like a member of the Exceed community? I've never heard of their name before. Or if I have, I'm sorry, guy, but I don't remember you. Yeah, don't really know what's going on there, but we've got the cat mine. Is that legal? I guess Mix has allowed it, so I guess it is legal. I have no idea what these guys are doing with their deck. Maybe they don't like the deck slots just as much as I don't. I personally prefer deck on the inside and discard on the outside, but it looks like Zain prefers the opposite, and D prefers what I'm going for. And what's the purpose of these circles on the board? Oh, the circles for the standees. So I think if you pre-ordered season 6, you get like these acrylic standees. That's what the little circles on the board are for. So you don't have to use the cards, I guess. I mean, fine, like whatever. But yeah, anyway, sorry. I think I played this matchup twice into someone's Yuzu, maybe Rose's Yuzu. And like, I'm not gonna claim I'm anywhere close to the best Carmine. Like, it was my first time playing Carmine. But the matchup didn't feel like some Carmine matchups feel kind of tricky, but Yuzu didn't feel so bad. She gets like additional power on stuff, which allows her to stun. A lot of Carmine slows more easily. She's pretty good at close range brawling. Her card quality in general is just very strong. Like, just her printed cards are very good. So when I first saw Yuzu and I saw the backside UA, I thought this character might not be so strong. As the first turn reading comes out from Zain, we've seen these kind of tomfoolery shenanigans from Zain in the past. Is he trying to land a spike or something? So, he is trying to land the spike. Yep, and we see Mix zooming over to the 2-4 spike that Yuzu has. Unfortunately, there's no punish in this hand for the spike, so D will just have to wild swing, and yeah, that Tachi will just beat out Carmine. So another reason why I think Yuzu does all right in this matchup is just because Yuzu has a super spike in her hand, in her deck, in the form of Tachi, which is a 2-4 5/3/5 ignore guard, ignore armor. So it's strictly better than Spike as far as the combat card is concerned. And of course, Carmine's kit outside of Thrust and Twist, I guess we'll say outside of Thrust, as the over here coming out. But doesn't this lose to Assault? Does this lose to Assault? Because Assault speed 5 hits range 1 to 2. It does, and looks like Diaz allowed Zain to take it back. Just what's strange? What's going on? I mean, he already, I guess D's allowing him to take back the play, but yeah, that loses like very hard to the assault shape. Not the assault shape, the assault in D's hand, which would of course hit 1 to 2, would hit for 6 as well, and would outspeed the 4-speed spike, played by the Unsheath. So yeah, that's unfortunately not going to work. We're going to have to find a different solution here for Zain. But yeah, like, I feel like Yuzu can brawl pretty well as far as power is concerned. She can draft on additional power. And has an extra copy of Spike, which is great against Carmine, who has a bunch of slows in his kit. But what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, I was gonna say at first glance, I didn't think Yuzu was gonna be particularly strong because of her UA, as Zain performs a key charge here. So frontside Yuzu's UA is basically just a key charge action, and then if she ends up with 4 or more gauge at the end of the key charge, she can flip for free. As a second, the second thing comes as the second thing. Second, whatchamacallit, Blood Pool comes out. Quickly responded by the Respect boost. The Respect boost will be countered by the Give Me That, which will push 1. Zain will take 2, and I believe it gets a. Does that get another action? Does the boost on Give Me That give you another action? I don't remember. I feel like it might. Anyway, I believe it's still D's turn, but yeah. That's what I thought. Just because the backside UA does involve a lot of. At the end of the day, like, it does involve a good amount of. What's the word I'm looking for? Variance. Variance is the word I'm looking for. As D boosts mix up, taking a step back and maybe striking with that thrust. That thrust is looking pretty good here at 6 speed, 5 damage. Not bad at all. Could also just be. Oh no, it could. Yeah, I was about to say it could be the card that is drawn. There's one card unknown, and it actually ended up being that cross. So that cross will be 5 damage, mitigated by the 2 armor of the focus. Focus will draw a card, deal 3 total. Thrust is still known. That twist kind of in no man's land a little bit. That other blood pool. But yeah, so at first I thought because of that, the inherent UA. What is going on here? What is Zain? What? Yeah, no, surely you don't boost that again. I mean, there's a sweep in there. Don't know what's. I don't understand. I don't understand what's happening right now. But looks like Zain is allowed to take back his boost again and find another answer. And that second answer will be in the form of boosting Ain't Soul Lost, +1 power, +1 speed. After add this to gauge. But yeah, basically, like, where I found out I was wrong, it looks like D is opting for a change cards action. We'll change cards 3 to draw 4. Drops that known assault as well, can't be read. As Yuzu boosts Swift and Deadly, advance or retreat 2, then strike. Just a super powerful card. But what I was getting at was just that Yuzu's cards are just like really, really good. They're just so good. It's crazy how good her card quality is. So like for that reason alone, like I think Yuzu can't be a bad character. But I think that backside UA is a little bit of a trap in a lot of scenarios, and I feel like bad players will be using that a little bit too much. But outside of that, I mean, I think Yuzu's quite strong, and I think can handle Carmine shenanigans quite well overall. As Yuzu, of course, initiating strike at range 2, Carmine just responding with focus, and it's the sweep. So it'll be 7 damage, 5 power going to Carmine, and Yuzu will take 4 back. Let's see, pulls the second assault, actually, second copy of assault down for Carmine. And assault's like a pretty decent tool for Carmine at range 4. It's like a fast option. As Carmine does the Carmine shuffle, chooses to retreat 1, and then move that blood pool closer. And now here comes the over here. So we got 2 sweeps. We've got that Ultra, which is like probably the worst one. And then we have the Spike Like as well. So now here finally is the over here. This is really aggressive from Zain. Because like it leaves him on an empty hand afterward. But we've seen Zain play before. We know that he likes to go in hard. So is there an option that beats all of these is the only problem. And yes, there is. I believe that should beat all. Should I beat all? I think that beats all of them. It stuns out sweep. Does it stun out sweep? Oh no, it doesn't stun out sweep. So that only does 6 damage. Normally, I feel like those do more than 6 damage just because you use 2 ultras. But no, unfortunately, so Zain gets like the 50-50. So that 0 Nokati Kurenai whatever garbage and the Tachi would have both lost. Tachi, of course, only having 5 guard to compare to the 6 power on that. as the respect goes off, because Zane's forced to prep because he has no cards, but got the 50-50 and was able to hit back with the sweep for 7 damage after armor. Not bad at all. As Carmine boosts spin, can just in case there weren't enough blood pools available, can get one from the discard and then advance or retreat 2 on top of that as well. Just a really just another just Carmine just has so many ways to get these blood pools in play. That's a really reliable one because it's the only way to get ones from the discard that have somehow been lost due to like Carmine getting stunned, for example. As Zain opts for another prepare action, uh, Carmine probably spending two. Okay, change cards 2. Interestingly enough, over a simple prep, but change cards 2. Interesting. Okay, as Yuzu boosts respect or not respect superior. Next attack is considered EX. Of course, like an EX cross from Carmine is basically not EX, just like a regular cross is basically unbeatable. Carmine just opts for the Carmine shuffle, moves back, brings that blood pool closer. Yuzu opts to flip. I am officially confused. So yeah, so Yuzu can basically randomly strike with a card from her gauge, and it has that +2 power, +1 speed. Okay. I guess I can kind of see what's going on, but he put a Saki in there. So this actually probably tells me that Yuzu wants to strike with the 1-4-0-6 Ultra. Because he put that Saki in, and he wants to spend the Tachi and the Saki perhaps, to kind of get full value, get like a full like 8 damage Ultra out of it, as well as kind of curate his discard better. Maybe he opts to spend the Ultra instead. As we see the second Swift and Deadly coming out and immediately taken back. Okay, so now we see a revert into a strike, and this is probably over. It's a focus. Okay, so this is an EX focus, which will have 5 power. D will choose to block all of it. Yuzu will draw a card, of course. As here comes the counter superior from, I guess it's not a counter because it's the next strike, but here comes the superior back from D. Looks like D will up to now veil off, so now he gets that second, as we see. Nice, beautiful, nice art there. No credit on that art though. Now we just see like I have no idea what the purpose of that veil off, or not. It wasn't a veil off, but I have no idea what the purpose of the exceed was from Yuzu. Immediately flips back, so I guess it gets 2 cards into that gauge, but like, why? Like loses the Ainsel lost boost as well, and now flips again. I'm a little bit lost here. So what's going on? As yeah, Carmine reveals that D reveals that there is a blood spike underneath Yuzu. So this would be like a 7 power EX grass or an 8 power EX grass coming out. If Yuzu can deal with something like that. I think actually still has her EX focus like alive, because I feel like I haven't seen one of those, so that can deal with grass pretty well. As looks like, nope, just another blood pool coming out. 3 of them there. So like this is where a Swift and Deadly to just like hop over to the other side would be really strong. But no, luckily Zain has enough force to just spend 2 force in the form of that Ultra to hop over to the other side. Okay, and then here comes the spin. So, or second copy of spin boosts as Rainblood, so Carmine can hop over, take that corner. And all those blood pools are still alive. Or you can even step back and have 2 of the blood pools live, but no, opts to take that corner. Now there are 4 blood pools behind Yuzu. Hen is known to be EX thrust and block, which is like not. So the thrust can originate from the center and just be like an 11 damage thrust, or something like that. because there are 4 blood pools there. Unfortunately, like Carmine was able to like, kind of like escalate the amount of blood pools on the board. He even has 1 blood pool left in the gauge as well that he can throw down. But yeah, unfortunately, it just felt like Carmine was able to kind of like accelerate this game plan of getting like 4 blood pools down. Like, don't let Carmine get 4 blood pools down, yeah? Zain just opts to prepare again. So I mean, there's a 12 damage thrust if D wants it. Of course, there is the balance of not trying to overcommit your blood pools or anything, but yeah, it looks like D's opting to strike here. Has maybe it would be cool if he like baits out the block. They go block block, and then D still saves that EX thrust for later. I don't think it's gonna happen though, just because D did commit. He didn't even shuffle his hand properly. That's a thrust, right? The block stayed in the leftmost slot in his hand. Like we saw that shuffle, it didn't go so well. So he's playing the thrust. It just depends on where he wants to originate it from. So you can choose to originate it from a different blood pool, and then maybe not trigger them because like he wants to go the other way. Can he do that? I'm not gonna lie. I don't really know how the thrust interaction works. With that. Okay, looks like D's gonna originate from that one. Which means that he's gonna spend 3 blood pools this combat. Looks like they're like discussing it now. No, looks like he's triggering all 4 of them. Oh no, he's only triggering one of them. Okay, so apparently that's how that works. He can just trigger that one, then hit Yuzu. That's cute, I guess. So D's still like relatively well set up, has the thrust and the block in hand. Now would not be a bad time to curate that gauge, I think. No, it's still a bad time because he can't even, like Yuzu can't even strike with a card from gauge. Because look at the options, they're so bad. They all lose to thrust. Every single one of those options lose to thrust. So he can't even curate the gauge properly. I mean, he should try to curate the gauge a little bit just because he has a bunch of gauge to spend. Not so much curate, but and that was only 6 power. And what? Sorry, why is that block going in discard? I feel like that block should be in the gauge because that was the block that just happened. But yeah, it just feels like all these. So the only option in Yuzu's gauge that beats the thrust is the assault, a speed 6 assault. Unfortunately, Yuzu got caught with a bunch of slows in her gauge, and then also like has like a random 3 to 5 7 1. Just very. I guess superior is a way to counter it as well. Superior, of course, making her next attack EX. Looks like D probably thinking of spending force in the form of change cards to recycle some options back into the deck as well. So it's definitely want to see that thrust go. Doesn't really care so much about the focus, but wants to put the block in as well. I wonder if he will. I don't think he can afford to take that block in hand and change cards with that as well. Interesting. Opts to dump the thrust. So we'll draw 4 after that. Back to Yuzu here. If you see your no, there's no way you can strike with a card from your gauge. Like that gauge is just so bad. It's just so unfortunate how the gauge situation ended up for Yuzu here. Like this is the kind of like Yuzu. This is why I thought like Yuzu would not be, as Yuzu spends a force to move back in the form of the assault. Now I'm mega confused. I feel like that assault was the card he wanted to strike with, but I guess not. Maybe this is like a reading coming out from Yuzu, like perhaps a dive into a spike, and that's why Yuzu's moved back one. But spends the assault, and then D says, "Okay, if you're gonna try to spike me, I'm gonna move to range 1 so you can't." Because of course Carmine's blood pools go away when Carmine is stunned, and the best way to stun Carmine is of course with Spike, like the most reliable way, especially if you can read that known block. But no, D says I'm gonna move back. I'm gonna move in your face. Notably, like, oh, and there's that Spike. So Yuzu will mix up, step back. Still has like the known like quantities of Spike. D can in theory just strike with the Ultra in the middle of the board. The U blank. This is the end. Family friendly printed card, by the way. Don't know what's going on there. And that will like hit whole board, and you will just opt for that. So that's gonna be a 0 to 3, 11 to 2, and for some reason we're striking with Kiri, EX Kiri. So I guess EX Kiri will hit first at the very least. So that's not too bad. Like hard calling out the Ultra, I guess, and then just hoping for the trade. Actually, pretty well done then. At first that Kiri looked a little confusing to me, but no, that makes sense. Triggers all of the traps. Of course, Carmine will have to spend his turn plopping one back down. And here comes the tech hit, so Yuzu has a chance to win this game. Is this EX... Wait, did D draw from the discard? I hope not. I don't know what's going on there. Check. They're checking. Okay, let them check. I didn't catch it. Mix did though. Congrats, good job on Mix. As EX Casho. Feels like maybe a little bit of a overkill situation, but maybe just wants the extra damage. I feel like Casho is just such a good option to close out games. As it looks like they are. It looks like they are checking, and yeah, it looks like D did draw from the discard, funnily enough. So yeah, this EX Casho. I feel like Casho into Casho would have been better than this EX Casho. Casho is just such a reliable card to close out games. As this will be an 8-power Casho. 8-power EX Casho. But I mean, at 6 speed, just reliably doing really good damage. Especially because this first one was blocked. You can opt to spend the lower damage ones now, and then save the 7 damage for the next Casho. As Yuzu leaves EX Sweep in the gauge, so maybe that can be a play. Kind of, maybe. Can like go for the Yuzu shuffle there with Sweep Casho. That just seems so risky. I don't think that's something you stake the game on it. But anyways, the Casho gets blocked. D will probably block the full damage, and yet he does. Spends 3 force to block the full damage. Nobody Casho hits, so don't know why that's going in the. Don't know why that's there in the discard. Oh, it's in the discard because of Yuzu's UA, of course. And the ha be devoured. With what, multiple ultras in the discard. Was basically like a 6-speed checkmate. I don't think Yuzu has a block left, because I think the first one was spent on tech hit and the second one was spent on a block. But anyway, D takes game 1 here with the Carmine over the Yuzu. We're splitting this video up, so I guess we'll see you for the next one, because we are splitting this up into 4 parts. Just because I couldn't sit down for a 2-hour-long commentary. But we'll see you for the next game. D takes game 1. Can no longer play Carmine. Alright guys, take care.